Hello, everybody. It's Jeff Eichen here, and we are proud to announce my first series of Photoshop lessons and courses. I'm going to be packaging them in several different lessons, and you can buy bundles or you can purchase the individual courses as you wish. And they'll be all online, no CDs, no thumbnails, thumb drives, and we get a 10% discount until August. So it's my pleasure to share with you from sea to shining sea, from the incredible film era. I got to be able to use my film cameras, which I still do. I want to do a workshop for film people and do maybe our final film journeys together. But this is about Photoshop. This is about layers. This is about importing your pictures. 101 photography with Jeff Eichen. And so this is my Leica. I really enjoyed using this camera my whole life. And well, not my whole life. I actually had my dad's Hasselblad, and I got to use this camera most of the days and most of the hours, and so it was really a blessing to have 2 1/4 film. You can actually take the back off here, and it's not digital, and you can run film in here still, and there are people that are still processing your film. So it's a blessing. I'm actually going through my archives and doing my legacy for my book projects that I've been doing. And so we journey into the history of photography in the first 2 or 3 lessons in the course, and we'll show the evolution of digital. And here's one of my favorite digital cameras. It has the monitor that swivels, and it's an Olympus. I love the Olympus glass. This is one of my favorite lenses. It's a 1.2 lens. It's very fast, but it's a macro lens, and it's one of my sharpest lenses that I own. The only bummer is, and we're on late night TV, so we use the word bummer, is that the technology of the E5 was beautiful at 100 ISO, and at 200 or 400 it started to get grain. And so I only use it for my close-up work and my portraitures. But I love this camera, and I love the action. I love the weight of it. I love how it feels. On all my cameras, I have an Arca Swiss quick release, and I keep 1 or 2 of the same head on each individual tripod that I own, so we can just go boom and put it on and feel good about that. So I'm really excited about that. And I've been publishing books in COVID, getting ready to scan my 3rd book. I did my first book, which was my book at 60, and that is, let's see if I can get this right here, my book at 60. And so I was really excited to do the photos book, and it's just an honor to self-publish and to open to any page. These are 4x5s. This was my first, see if I can get that. That was my first, I can figure out how to do this, my first collage, and the 2 negatives sat on the enlarger, or not enlarger, but the light table at the University of Oregon in 1976, and that was the first time I put 2 photos together. But I'm enjoying doing some collaging and some kaleidoscoping. I've evolved into photographing people and mothers and daughters, and but in the early days, I definitely shot landscapes, and I mean, in the early days, I shot mostly close-ups. I'm still doing that. I'm still seeking that, but then I backed up in the latter years, and exploring the world through light is just a blessing. And shooting at festivals, and I actually, this photograph of Taj Mahal is here locally at a venue, and I was in the audience with a small digital camera, but with high resolution. And I mean, the cell phone put me out of business as an architectural photographer. Well, not really, but it's very difficult when the client can use a high resolution cell phone to capture their images and send them to the magazine. And here's my wooden boat book that I did after 20 years of, almost 20 years of living in Port Townsend, Washington, a wooden boat community. I did a wooden boat book. I did it my way. So I'm really blessed to have my books available. I have several of these books available at all times, and I sign them and send them out to you. Blurb doesn't allow us to have such a beautiful pricing status. So if you get an affordable book that's not collectible, meaning that these are limited edition books, that's why my books are more expensive than the Amazon books, because they're print on demand, and these books cost a lot of money to produce, but they're beautiful, they're gorgeous. And so I'm also going to teach a class on using Lightroom, which I did for my last book, an architectural book, to do the whole book. I did the whole book in Lightroom, and then I sent it right up to Blurb. They have communication digitally, and it was high resolution. It came out great, and so I'm really excited. Let's go in, and I'll share with you a little bit about what you're about to see in this series. And so if I can share my screen with you, I can get right there. There we go. So so let's see here if I can get rid of my beautiful, boom. Okay, I think I've got all of them gone. So here we are in Photoshop, actually, and so we're going to learn a lot about Photoshops. How many layers do you think are on this magazine cover that I did? And I teach workflow in this class, and a keystroke, Command 0 in Mac or Control 0, will allow you to make it. Let's see if I can get this here to work here. So we are going to edit this. Okay, here we go. All right. So we are now in Photoshop. Here we are in Photoshop. And we're so blessed to have the ability to be digital these days. With my workflow paradigm, I love to teach keyboard shortcuts. So Command or Control 0, whether you're on Windows or Macintosh, are the way to go. Command, Control 0. Then I like to minus it once or twice, and then have some space around to work on it. So you can see my mouse is coming in here, right here. My mouse is here, and I can go to individual layers. But this is the flattened layer of the magazine cover that I made, and it's the HWY 101 class session 1 cover. So let's go and traverse the HWY. So I took a piece out of there with instructor Jeff Eichen, and then with my keystrokes I can move around. And the cool thing is with Photoshop, I'm going to teach you, let's go back here. We'll show you the individual slices of this in a second, but I'm going to teach you the let's see if I can get back to us here. I'm going to teach you how to do books. Here's my calendar that I made, and I'm gonna show you how to actually do all the type and the words. See how I put type down at the bottom, and then how to do triptychs and what do you call a deutig? a two tip trick. So we'll be teaching you that, how to do birthday cards. These are some of my Namaste cards that I've had, and those are like 6 or 10 layers. Here's the other card that I did for Christmas ad for Namaste, and I also did this all in Photoshop. Adobe has other products that are really good for type, and they're fantastic, but I keep it to Photoshop because that's my specialty. So, for example, here is one of my posters here from hand printed by myself here, and it's just a test strip before I print the whole thing, but it's a test strip on really nice paper, so you don't want to use the whole paper. And we'll have a printing whole we'll have a whole series on printing, and so that is actually for this card here. This is the wedding card that I did, and so that's really beautiful. All those layers, and that's also Photoshop made, all those layers. So just showing you how many layers there are to play with and to get used to. So it's really fun to be an old architectural school photographer and to make my own cards. And that's what we're going to teach you in all of our, we'll have homework too in all of our series here. So I'm really blessed to be able to share with you the series, which is really super cool. The series here is going to be excellent, and you can collect them all. You can buy a bundle. There'll be discounts, and periodically, and I don't want to turn anybody away, so you just give me a shout if you need a scholarship. So I'm up for scholarships also. So it's really cool. Let me share my screen with you again. I'm going to get rid of my overlays here and share with you my screen and show you my Photoshop here again. So this is a very, very interesting photograph. When you see checkerboards, I'm going to take all of these on this side, which is the right side when you're looking at your screen. These are your layers. So I'm going to share with you now the layers here, where I can take off the background layer, and when I undo the background layer, let me get into Photoshop here. When I go into Photoshop, there we go. So when I go into Photoshop, I turn off the background layer and it becomes checkerboard. That means that that image is floating, and I made a gradation background, which is really beautiful. So if we undo the drop-ins that I did, I took a 3D virtual box from the internet and I made my own box, and I put in my pieces that I wanted to use here. So for example, if I highlight this layer 0 here, and I can move this around. I can move this over here. I can go Command Z. These will all be in the class and it'll pop back in. I can turn the layers on or off one at a time. I can see what I'm doing, and it's going to be a really great tutorial class. So this is a flattened version. Normally I would save this as a PNG for the internet, and that would be able to be put into any website without a background. Just the box would be floating. So it's great for promotion and small business associations. I was listening to my friend's small business blog today. Steve Strauss, he's written 17 books on the small business Bible and coming out of COVID and monetizing and marketing yourself properly. So enjoy my series. It's going to be super fun. And then here we go, and I'm going to there I laid that down. That was another box that I was able to lay that photograph down with the method that I will show you in one of our classes. I'll show you how to create your own virtual boxes, and so that's going to be fun. And then this is for a client of mine, Renee, and I'm doing a video for her of her hampers, and it's a strange thing, but they're in London, and that's what they call baskets. So she does baskets for Wimbledon, and so it's one of my clients, and I took that out of there, and I took away the type. The font was very unlegible, and I put my own font in it, and I shifted it. I spun it around, and so you could read Hampers Bazaar. That's the name of her business. So whether you're in work or pleasure, you're doing art, or you're doing logos. There's my logo for my Legacy show. It's just amazing to be able to learn how to work the layers. And then we'll get into some Lightroom. Let's see if I have my Lightroom up here. So Lightroom is a brilliant, brilliant product to organize your photographs and to download them directly to Lightroom. Lightroom has been around since the early days, but not as long as Photoshop. They were using Bridge for so long, and so Lightroom came in from, actually Elements had the best way to find your photographs and to organize them and to put them in drawers and put them in files and to organize them by subject matter and by date, so you can find your stuff years later. The cool thing about Lightroom is that it remembers every hard drive that photograph was from. It writes the metadata into the background and never bothers you with any of that stuff. But if it's gone and there's an exclamation point next to that photograph, then that means that that photograph is missing, or that hard drive is missing. So you go grab that hard drive and you put it in. So it's really neat. Lightroom, you're seeing Lightroom opening up here, and it's really a brilliant way to integrate with Photoshop. You use Lightroom to begin with, and you take and you red label them, you put them in special folders, you organize everything before you close down your session. And so, for example, you're looking at a block of photographs here that there are exclamation points because I don't have my hard drive plugged in for these, and so I'll just open up one photograph here, and you hit the space bar and it'll come live. So we were at a motorcycle event, and when I like a photograph, I will highlight it with a color so I can sort it by color. Then I can hit G for the grid and bring it back to grid, and it's really beautiful. You can plus or minus in Lightroom, and it's just a blessing. It's a blessing to navigate with ease and flow and not spend your life on the computer, whether you're in or on the computer. But stay hydrated, sit up straight, look far and do your eye exercises, take a deep breath, and enjoy my series. I'm going to come back to to me here, and I'm really blessed to be part of this video right now, and part of your world, and part of the Photoshop teaching world. I haven't allowed myself to do this project until now, and I'm really blessed that somebody suggested it to me, and I decided that now's the time. And so it's going to be my view, my perspective on Photoshop and how-tos, tips and tricks, and it's going to be really great. I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks that I know. And let's see here if I can get my eCam up. There it is. So I'm really blessed to be able to also have technology and not be overwhelmed with technology, to love technology and to have it in the house. So I'm proud to be part of this paradigm, this circle of love. And with my teachers, I got to go down to Portland to the Ansel Adams show that they had. It's a traveling show. And I got to meet Ansel Adams when I was a kid. Maybe one day I'll go get the photograph off my refrigerator for you and show you the Yosemite workshop in 1974, I believe I was there. I was 17, and we can count the days. And I got to actually meet Ansel and be with him in his glory. And we know Ansel, he told us he chased the light, but he didn't wait days and days and hours and hours. He just went out and found things in the right time. Noon is not the best time to photograph anything, but then again, if you're out at noon and the subject matter is right and you have your camera, go for it. So we'll do some cameras, workshops and tutorials on settings and on filters, but mostly this is going to be a Photoshop and Lightroom experience. Thank you for joining us on 101 Photoshop. That's me in the corner, me in the middle, and that's Lightroom and Photoshop. It's going to be really fun to play with you all and to be here for you. I do private tutoring also, and we'll have a whole menu of pricing. And if you're interested in my doing a book for you, we're doing the Mikasa series also, where I come to your house and I spend 2 days and Airbnb and I work with your archives and do a book. I mean, we need to do our books. This is mine, number one. And I've got more images that need to go into book number 2. So I'm just scanning them now. I got a blessed Epson high resolution scanner recently. So no worries. And thank you so much. And feel the light, everybody. That's what my teacher said, Bernard Friedmesser. He said, feel the light and chase the light. Go get it. Have shows in your local coffee shop. Now that we're coming out of pandemic, keep it that way. Wear your mask still if you can. Stay hydrated and be kind to each other. I think it was it Ansel or Bernie? One of my great photography teachers had some. I think it was Ansel in his darkroom. It said, to be a good photographer, you need to be a good person. So being a good person is relative to who you are, what team you're on. Everyone thinks differently of good, but good is kind of the golden rule. Do unto others and photograph unto others. So feel the light, everybody. It's Jeff Eichen with my new series coming up. I'm really excited to share with you layers, workflow, tips and tricks that I've learned, so you don't have to stumble over everything. And then some bookage too, how to print your own book and have your legacy for your children, because it says it right here, I did it my way. So I'm going to give you a little, and that's your teacher, Jeff Eichen, instructor of Photoshop HWY 101. Thank you. I'm out.